Hey there, Mopar fans. I'll start out this video. You see the damage to my face. This video is going to be about rust, different kinds of rust, the issues that you're going to run into. Later on, we'll get into repairing them and what have you. But what inspired me to do this is taking apart cars, disassembling them, parting them out. You run into all kinds of issues and some unforeseen. And, what happened here is removing a K-member and torsion bars, and the torsion bar cross member was compromised by rust from the inside. So it wasn't visible from the outside. But as soon as the upper control arms were released, the torsion bars, obviously under load, swung and then broke through the cross member and blew the torsion bar out. And we had the car standing up on end because that gives it easier access, and the torsion bars came out, and this was the result. So be careful out there, but even as careful as you can be, this accidents happen, and that's just kind of part of the game, right? So without further ado, we're going to move forward and have a look at some of the stuff, different kinds of rust, what we run into here at Liberty Mopars. I hope you enjoy the video. See that there? Rots from the inside out, underneath the kick panels. So when you see that car posted on Facebook super cheap, and you think that's a great deal, you might want to think twice. So on this Duster, here's another example. Not a bad car. Actually came from Eastern Oregon, where you get this kind of patina rust, where the sun just bakes the paint off, exposes the metal, and it just gets a nice little brown coat on it, but it doesn't do anything to the metal. But then you move the car out to the coast, you leave it sit outside, and this happens. It rots from the inside out, which is just a shame. And turned what was a solid car that was going to be a project, we're going to do something with it someday, into a parts car, into garbage. And the rest is very different. When salt air gets to it, you get this scaliness. You see that? Versus Sunbaked, which is something totally different. Over here we have Sunbaked. You know, this is a car that sat outside in the desert for many years, and as you can see, it's not rusty. Nothing's rusted through. It's just got that nice brown coating. 200 grit paper will just almost wipe it clean off. Now this one's getting parted just because it has massive amounts of body damage, but it isn't rusty. So we'll save the quarter panels. We'll save all those pieces, especially for you East Coast fellas. And I'll follow up on some more different kinds of rust that we experience when we buy cars and bring them into the yard. Okay, so now this Super Bee has what I call rust belt rust. You know, you guys in Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, this is what you get to experience. This car did come from the Midwest, or Eastern Midwest, that has salt on the roads and what have you, and you can tell it emanates from the wheel wells. Pulls it up off the road. You know, these were driver cars. You know, it's a 70 Super Bee here, and it just works its way out. And normally you'll see it eats the quarter panels, gets up into the splash areas, works its way up. Fortunately, this is all fixable. You know, the rockers on this car actually stayed pretty good. Pardon my shadow, but it's a bright sunny morning. Funny enough, because we're supposed to get snow tomorrow. But I'm going to take advantage of what I got today. So we replaced the front fenders. You know, you got the splash shields. Fortunately, the splash shields in the front absorb most of that, take the brunt of the damage. You can unbolt them and repair those. Quarter panels, different story. But we have the aftermarket available now that we can fix this kind of stuff. And that's exactly what's going to happen with this. We've got some quarter panels from a car that was cut in half a long time ago, and those will get installed on this, and then it's going to be available to move to its next home. So this one is an example of what we like to call the Columbia River Valley rust, where cars just sit in moisture and they rot everywhere that water collects. Now, this is rare up in Washington and Oregon. You're going to find this along the big rivers, the Columbia River from Portland up to Astoria, right in that area where the moisture just sits in there in the fog and just collects on all these surfaces. You'll find it on floors, obviously, but you'll find it mostly around window openings and places like that. You also find this up around the bay in Washington, Puget Sound area, what have you. And you see how that rots. Cars like these, you know what, the bodies, unless it's something special, the bodies are gone. Sadly, this was a beautiful 69 Coronet 500 Q5 turquoise, one of my favorite colors. But, you know, it's a great car for trim, for plastic, for all that kind of stuff, interior pieces, because they don't get a lot of sun. The moisture doesn't deteriorate plastic and what have you. So great cars for that. So what I find myself doing a lot of times is buying a car like this, buying a desert car. You combine the two, you end up with a really good car. So this would be a good example of a desert car. You know, it has some body damage, but it has that patina rust that we were talking about, where, as you can see, this car is solid, solid, solid. Just picked this up from Eastern Washington, sitting out in the desert. But anything that was plastic or vinyl or what have you just deteriorates, just is gone. So we'll take parts from a complete car that rotted from a place that doesn't get a lot of sun, and we'll put it all back together and make one good car out of two. So in a future episode, I'm going to talk about the whole rebody controversy. So I hope you've enjoyed that episode. At this point in the video, I'd like to give a shout out to our newest Mopar family member, Eric High. He went from, I don't remember, Chevys or Fords, and now he's got 3B bodies in a matter of months. So, but we all know how that is. Once you get into this family, it's like the mafia. There's only one way in and you know, one way out, I guess. And usually that's in a hearse, and it's probably a Mopar as well, at least if you're anything like me. Any rate, I'd also like to kind of touch on something. You know, the Mopar world is a very small world. Most of us know each other, especially the guys that do what I do. You know, there's a few dozen of us around the country, and we all talk to each other. And with few exceptions, I get along with all of you, and they're all really good people, really good guys. And I have no problem if I don't have something and they do and I know it, I'm going to send it to them. And in many cases, they're going to do the same thing. And I have this joke I love to tell, that 97% of the Mopar world are really great guys. There's 3% out there that, you know, it's kind of like a lot of our culture. You know, they're kind of all about themselves, and if you can't do what they need right now on the timeline thereafter, it's a problem. Or they get apart. This happened to me. I saw another video from one of the other guys where somebody damaged something. eBay, I think, took their money and they didn't return it and what have you. I've had that happen. You know, I had an NOS grill I sent out to a guy. He dropped it. He broke a tab off trying to install it, and then did, an item not as received or something like that claim. And, now, fortunately, I got it. But now I have a broken grill, and it's not worth what it originally was. eBay didn't back me up, and I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do moving forward with that. But at the end of the day, this is a hobby. We do this because we love it. We all do. So be patient, be kind, be compassionate to one another, and remember that this is something that we do because we have a similar interest. We are passionate about these, because Mopar people arguably are more passionate than any other brand. I mean, it's obvious. If you spent any time talking to a Mopar fan, you'll realize that it's I mean, if it was a church, you'd call it a cult. But any rate, that's my minute of advice. Be good to each other, and help each other get those Mopars on the road and enjoy them. And I hope everybody has a great summer 2024. I'm looking forward to making some trips around the country and meeting each and every one of you. So take care, and remember, if you need anything, email me right here. It's on every video, I believe. Take care.